Hello there, and welcome to Women's Business.
My name is Dr. Marianne Shallcross Smith, known to most as Dr. Daycare, and this is my co-host, Amy Vogel. We'd like to welcome you to our mentoring program designed to educate our community on issues facing working women. We will be speaking to our guests in the areas art, sciences, health, education, law, medicine, politics, community service, military, and business.
The goal of the show is to provide information that comes only from personal experience and to pass this information down to our daughters, nieces, neighbors, family, and friends. Much of the content will relate to the guest speaker's journey in their profession, what they have learned most about this process, and what they wished they had known before this journey began. Since women-owned businesses are the fastest growing sector of our economy, my guests will close with what lesson they would like to pass on to the viewing audience.
Hello there, and thank you for joining us on Women Business. We are honored to welcome Tarah Warner from TMW Productions, LLC. Welcome, Tarah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on down to Women's Business. Wow, it's exciting. Tell us a bit about TMW.
Sure. So I own a event management and continuity company. And what that means is we do golf tournaments, we do 5Ks, we do fundraising events. Sometimes the two tie together, but we really specialize in any type of event management. And then on top of that, with working with nonprofits specifically, sometimes you have a team of volunteers who have been doing it for years, and unfortunately sometimes they either pass away or the committee disbands. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we try to keep everything together with year to year with running that event, and we ensure that that event continues to go on even though the committee might change.
Legacy there.
Definitely.
Legacy. Tell me your favorite event that you ever did.
Ooh, that's a really tough one.
Maybe top three.
Ooh, top three. I have golf tournaments are definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
They're pretty easy to run.
Are they?
They're pretty.
I feel like it seems like there's a lot of moving parts.
There is, but it's pretty much a carbon copy where, one person might do like certain competitions within the tournament, others might, omit some things but bring in something different. So it's pretty much the same,
Blueprint.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But then I'd love to do 5Ks as well. Those are a lot of fun. I work with some great vendors to help with the timing. And as far as the last one, galas and like large sit-down dinners or breakfasts.
These galas have really gone up a lot in the last 5
Right.
years. Like you'd go to a gala and it's like, okay, you go to a gala and it's like a storybook.
Right, yes.
It's like you've been to like a whole other world. It's like the whole
Right.
place has been transformed. I've gone to a few at Foster Forward throughout the
Okay.
years because I was on their board for years.
Okay.
And you walk into some of these things like New York City, you feel like you're in New York
The
City.
themes,
Yeah.
they bring the themes alive.
Bring the themes
Absolutely.
alive. It's amazing.
Well, when people are paying top dollar
Yeah.
to attend these events, you better put on a good show.
Yes.
But my God, it's pretty. It is a good show too. It really is.
Definitely.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, gosh, and the amount of work and time that goes into transforming a place into a New York City or to what's the other one I
I
went
think
to?
New Orleans was the
New
theme,
Orleans,
maybe, or something
yeah.
like Mardi Gras
The
type
Mardi
thing.
Gras.
Right.
It's amazing the ideas they come up with.
Absolutely. And that's really, volunteers don't have the time to do things like that anymore.
No.
So, and being a Rotarian, I'm a member of Rotary International, which is a international service organization. I really found that doing events just for my local club, we didn't have the volunteers to put on these large events. So now people are hiring out, they're contracting with event management companies like me to put that on, but we specialize in that fundraising aspect.
Yeah, I found out throughout the years that certainly happened because you put sometimes a stress on your staff.
Right.
And they have all their other jobs to do and all their other commitments to do.
Yep.
And then you put a huge fundraiser on them.
Yes.
That becomes this almost management.
It's like a second job.
Second job.
Exactly.
And I think one of the best ideas is to have an event company come in and take that off their shoulders and
Right.
just give their expertise.
Absolutely.
Is it really, or has event companies just kind of like something that surfaced over the years? Like I don't feel like they were there like 20 years ago.
I think 20 years ago, there wasn't a huge need. I think
Yeah.
a lot of companies either hired in-house for specific staff to do
Yeah.
it, especially like the Fortune 500s. Now we're seeing that like nonprofits are using them, and I think it's becoming more and more with weddings as well. That's a big event that people just don't have the time to plan their own weddings. So you'll see different event planners specialize in different events. We are more of a business. We do not do weddings or personal events, but it's definitely something that is on the upswing. Yeah.
One I don't pray that much, but I pray enough. But the one I would pray for is an event planner for a wedding.
Yes. I've done one
my
wedding in my
gosh.
entire
And
life.
then you're like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Right, and that was my own, and I was done after that.
Good for you.
It's a lot, I feel like it's a lot of stress.
It is.
It is. It really is. And try to figure out exactly what that bride and groom want. And
It's not even
sometimes you
them.
can be a mediator between them.
Well,
too.
it's
It's the
the
families.
in-laws, the
Yes.
family.
Yes,
Oh,
the
no, it's
families.
everyone coming together.
Yeah.
For talking about different cultures. We just talked about that a
Right.
little while ago. From different backgrounds, diversity in cultures, and we're putting a wedding together. God bless all of you wedding planners.
Exactly.
So how did you get into event planning? What was like your course that got you to where you are today?
So I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and I worked in the restaurant industry growing up, and I really decided that this was the track that I wanted to take. I wanted to be in the hospitality industry. So I ended up going to Johnson & Wales University and getting my degree in restaurant management and food service management. That was a grad degree. I left, went out to Chicago for 3 years and worked for DePaul Dominican and Elmhurst College, and with contracted food service. And we did large events. I mean, fundraising events, even basic things like serving the president at his own house.
Oh, wow.
And I really loved that.
Great experience.
It was. So I ended up getting an opportunity to come back to Rhode Island to work at Johnson & Wales, and I decided to go back for my MBA. And after that, I went for my MBA in accounting, and I was like, you know what, this is the time. This is the time that I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to go out on my own, and that's exactly what I did.
Now, did you have any mentors along the way to help you? Because going into business isn't as easy as just like going to get a business name and making it legal. There's a lot of steps along the way.
Right, and I think my experience up to this point in my life has been building on top of one another with my education and my work experience to get me to this point. I do have a mentor. His name is Matt Samuel. He actually is a professor at Johnson & Wales.
Oh, cool.
And him and I just remained in contact after I graduated with my undergrad. He's helped me out with navigating the waters of, corporate life. And even now, he is a consultant of mine with certain things. And we have remained in contact. So.
Yeah, Johnson & Wales has a great way of the professors actually have the real world experience, real life experience, which is huge when you're a student and you're going from academia to the next step, whether it's business, medical, whatever that is.
Exactly.
It gives you like, well, this is what happens in the OR, or this is what happens in the restaurant.
Yep.
It's not just what happens in a book.
Right.
Which I think as a student is so important.
It's totally different. I mean, you might be studying years theory, and what it comes down to is, can you survive out in that industry? Can you make it on your own?
Or there's an event and there's a hurricane. You know what I'm saying? That's really great to be able to talk to someone who's lived an experience. Like, okay, hurricanes do happen, and tornadoes happen, and blizzards happen, and this is how you get through it. You know, if they lived it or lived through it, it's a great experience to be able to be shared.
Definitely.
Compared to like reading a book. If there's a blizzard, this is what you do. Well, let me just tell you, it's not that easy because you got people calling you, the phone's ringing, your text is going off, your email's going off, and you got to design the whole process. You
Definitely.
know? Yeah.
Plus, supervising human beings is much different than reading about leadership styles in a book.
Right. You have
so many moving personalities and parts.
Yes, absolutely. That's you hit the nail on the head with that. The personalities come into play, and you just got to make sure you have the right players for the game.
But everyone brings something to the table.
Yes.
Like I always say, I'm like, I could not do everything I do without the people that I work with.
Yes.
Because they all bring something so valuable to the table, and it also helps you get what you need to get done.
Exactly.
And then you feel like you accomplished something.
Yes.
Because you cannot do everything on your own.
Right.
Teamwork. I totally agree. Absolutely. The people who are on your team that can get you to the next step.
Absolutely.
So the phone rings, you get the phone call. Where do most of your referrals come from?
Right now, self-referrals, client
Great.
referrals.
We're going to start referring you now that we know you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I've been very fortunate to have a lot of clients say, no, you should, definitely go with TMW. And now I'm actually to the point, because we've been in business 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Great.
Yeah, so we are now going to start doing more aggressive campaigning with advertising and things like that.
Super.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Now, how many people are on your team?
3.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
You're
Now, do you
growing.
ever have to do temporary people to get you through the event, or is the 3 solid enough to get through all events?
3 is solid.
Okay.
I am fortunate enough that I work through organizations who have volunteers that they're willing
Okay.
to supplement as part of the event process. For me, if I were to do something large, I would definitely need to bring in some additional staff.
Yeah, because I always think like it's a lot of work.
It is.
It is. I'm not good with events, so I give you all
Yeah,
the credit
I'm
where-
telling you, if Amy could take an event we have our calendar for like the next year or the next 5 years for our strategic plan, and Amy is like, we go in the back room, and like, take off these events, take off these events, like no events.
It can be really.
She does the
create-
business MBA, the whole bit.
They
Events,
create
events.
stress in me because I want everything to be just
Yeah.
right, and and then I'm like, forget this is too much for me.
Yeah,
It-
thank God
it
the
can
team
be
that
really
we have doing
exhausting.
it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like, did you ever have a glitch that happened that you had to get over, or have you ever
Every single event.
really?
Give us one.
Do you like freak
Well-
out though? Like I would be like in a sweat.
No, because, and this is something I tell students who are coming into this industry.
You're teaching us here how not
Yeah.
to sweat.
Right. You have to be that general on the battlefield where chaos is happening around you, and you have to remain completely composed and ready to act. And my other saying that I always tell people is there are 2 questions that I always ask myself when a problem comes up.
Mm-hmm.
1, did anybody die?
That's a good one.
And if that didn't happen, if nobody's died, 2, did anybody get hurt?
Yeah.
And if those 2 things did not happen, then you can handle anything
That's
else.
true.
Totally
You put it in
agree.
perspective.
Right.
It's only an event, so to speak. Jimmy.
Yes.
We're gonna make it work.
Well, not, with events in general, you can't tell a bride that.
No.
You can't tell a client that. But there are different levels of you can prioritize, what's code red versus, okay, code blue, let's say. That's not as bad.
I've been in the profession of childcare, which is such a wonderful profession. So lucky. For 47 years nearly.
Okay.
And when I probably maybe 20 into that, a child died in my daycare.
Oh my gosh.
So you actually hit it right on the nose. From that day forward, nothing at that point has ever, you know what I mean? There's never been a bad day other than that day.
Right.
So it's amazing. It's a very good point you brought up. As long as everyone's okay in the whole 9 yards, because it stops your life.
Yes.
To think that she died of SIDS, unfortunately.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
she was a baby.
Wow.
But anyhow, you're absolutely right. If everything else is going to make it, if everyone's okay, you know,
Exactly.
no one's got hurt. I totally agree. Thank you for sharing that. Brought that right out of me. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you're right on target with that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a different lens at that point.
For sure.
It becomes a different lens. Yeah.
So you started your company,
Mm-hmm.
what was the first thing you had? So let's say the listening audience, someone wants to start an event company out there.
Yep.
What would you say is the first step to get them involved into starting an event company?
Work for an event company or work in the hospitality industry. I think people go into, and this is just in general, they go into their own business thinking like, I can do everything and anything.
You
and
do.
You need that background experience and to make those mistakes per se before you go into your own. You still make mistakes every single day. I mean, it's not, I'm perfect and it's not like that. It's you at least are more fine-tuned and more prepared to deal with what is going to come at you at that point in time.
Your profession, as I'm understanding now, but keep in mind if someone ever chooses to go into that profession, is you got a lot of nights and weekends, I'm assuming, too. That's a lot of extra work that people don't look at.
Well, I've been fortunate with working with business clients where it's not a lot of nights
Okay,
and
good.
weekends for me.
Super. I think it'd be weekends.
Occasionally, yeah. I mean,
Right.
occasionally, like you'll have a golf tournament on a Sunday.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of what I do is during the week.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's good.
So you do corporate events, so if like both fundraising and non-fundraising, but if like a company wants to have a corporate sponsored event for their employees, like stuff like that.
We can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and then do you do some for their vendors and whatnot? Like what's your main type of events that you all do?
It's golf tournaments, it's large breakfasts, like networking
Okay,
events,
breakfast,
congressional summits. Really, that's what my clients had asked of me. The South County Balloon Festival actually was another one.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's put on by Rotary, isn't it?
It is.
That's what I thought.
Yes, the Wakefield Rotary Club.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this year they decided not to do it just because last year there was some issues with the rain. It rained one of the days, and
It's a good event thing, yeah.
Yeah,
rain.
and it was just a safety issue to allow anybody out on the field, so they decided to move forward in their retooling and trying to figure out what they want to do next.
Yeah. It's a beautiful event though with the balloons.
It was, yes, definitely.
So they're not going to have the balloon event anymore? Is that
Nope.
After all these years, I'm shocked.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was one of the longest running events in the
totally.
district
Yeah.
that we are in, and
I never attended. I can't believe that. Did you?
It's
Okay.
cute.
My
They had like
goodness, I
little
thought
rides
that'd
and
be-
whatnot.
yeah, it was like a carnival section, and it was great when the weather was great.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
But
It's a great.
you can't predict weather in New England.
No, definitely not.
No. Okay.
So if you could go back to your childhood, is there anyone significant? It could be other many people significant to where you could be a businesswoman today that you felt that they were, or a grandparent or someone that significantly you felt that helped you to be a businesswoman today?
I have two people. I would say my mom, definitely.
Is she a businesswoman or in business or?
Well, she was an at-home mom. She was
Okay,
a
got
homemaker for many years, and which I'm thankful for because with children, they need that fostering, and it was great being home with her. But she would volunteer a lot in local community with local community organizations. The PTO, the PTA, the band parents. And for me, having her as an example with that volunteer work made me want to give back. So that's why I really work a lot in the nonprofit realm. My grandfather on my mom's side was also very influential. He actually had come from New York, Staten Island, New York, and my grandparents had owned their own business, and just hearing the stories about what they had gone through. They owned like a junkyard business.
Yes.
I love it.
But
it's
was
businesses,
right,
business. Yeah.
and it was just hearing that, and he always told me that you're never going to make any money in this world unless you work for yourself, and that's so true.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. And then they moved from New York to Pennsylvania?
Yes, the Pocono area.
That's a change.
Yes. Yep. So.
Yeah, working for yourself I think is wonderful, but everything falls on your shoulders.
Yes.
So if things are going well, it's excellent. If things aren't going well, it's not so great.
Yes.
How do you handle, how would you teach someone how to handle that? So if you work for someone, you can kind of say, oh, this is now your issue. You know what I mean? But when at the end of the day, it's going to fall on you. How did you handle that?
Right. I mean, it goes back to those two questions. But I think it's just the constant prioritizing. Yeah. That's the key. There is no balance. And I'm going to be straightforward with saying it's impossible. When you want to be successful and when you are driven to succeed, there is no balance.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I never heard it quite said that way, but I think you just said it.
I'm pretty upfront with my opinions on that.
That is it. There is no balance. I
Right.
totally agree with that.
I think you can achieve that at a certain point in time in your life. But when you're starting out, it's just, you have to have a good support system. I mean, I'm very fortunate that I have my husband. He's wonderful that when there's, chores to do around the apartment that we live in, he's willing to pick up and do them while I'm in the office for 12 hours a day minimum. And
Every day?
Not every day.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
During my busy season, yes, every day. But that really only lasts for about 2 to 3 months.
Oh. Well, and also I think with events, so I really loved going to school and college because there's always you going towards something else. You finish those courses, then you have more, then you have a break, then you have more, and it was kind of nice. So I think with events it's similar. You do an event and it's there and you see and you see it.
Right.
The finality, you're like, look I put this on. Then you start another one. That I do think is what I do like about events is that
Beginning
see
and
what
end.
you did. Yes, I think that's amazing.
It is. I like the calendar.
Yeah.
I loved working for colleges because you were on that calendar schedule from September to May. And it's similar with my business where, we know our busy season is in the summer. It goes a little bit into the fall. That's easy. I can handle that. And it's really nice to be buckled down in the winter in your cozy apartment and, you're just working, but you're not out there, on the street, having to drive in through rush hour, through the snow, through the rain. it's a different type of thing, but I love it and I wouldn't have it any other way.
We talked about the elements there for a little bit, but talk about balance, as you just said. Sometimes I would be so excited when I'd wake up and there'd be like a no school day when my kids were little. Like, oh my God, this is so exciting. This is the day I get to catch up. It's like, that became the balance sometimes because there was no school, the kids were home, you didn't have to run here, you didn't have to do that, you have to be at work. You had to be at work, but if I'm talking, I've worked from my home for years, so it was amazing to think that like a snow day could just change your whole life,
For sure.
And, okay, I can balance today. It's an easier day to balance.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I think also with balance, it might not be a 50-50 life-work balance. I think balance is what you make of it, right?
Yes.
Definitely.
When you feel like I don't know, I was able to go away with my family for a week, that might have been my balance.
That's
like,
right.
I worked to do this.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I think it's all like perspective.
Definitely.
And it all depends on what feels balanced to you.
Exactly.
But sometimes it's not, and sometimes it's not easy to have.
No,
But
definitely
you,
not.
But you're always like, as you said, I just got to get through this busy season.
Yeah.
I just got to do this. And then you feel like, oh, okay, now I can breathe again.
Yes.
So that's great.
So what do you do to take care of yourself? Like, what do you do for yourself amongst business?
So I try to read. I try to take a walk at least once a day. Yoga, swimming is another thing that I am fortunate to have a pool in my apartment complex,
Oh, that's
so I
very
can
nice.
swim. Yes, but really having just the moment to just take a step back and kind of think about things and think through maybe a challenge. That's been key. I also love to travel, so
Tell me about your travels a little bit.
Yeah, my husband and we just went to Paris and northern France back in February. We tend to travel when it's like off-peak season.
Yeah, I do
That's the
too.
best time,
Fantastic.
right?
I just got back from Italy, same thing.
Yeah.
I do off peak.
It's great. The crowds aren't there.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait in line for a lot of things.
Right, yeah.
And it was the trip of a lifetime. I had been wanting to go to France since I'm a little kid, and I watched
wonderful.
Madeline. Do you remember Madeline?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I used to watch that cartoon, and ever since then I just wanted to go back.
That's awesome.
Or well, I say go back, but I wanted to go.
Oh, Paris you could do many, many times. It's like
Right.
it was like an introduction course for the first time.
Right. Well, sometimes I think like it was kind of like a past life thing too. I don't know
Yeah.
spiritually.
Yeah.
I don't know
get
what
that.
your beliefs are, but I think I was there in a past life, and I had to
believe it.
go back and
Yep.
experience it today.
That's amazing. Did you have a fabulous time?
I did,
Yes.
and I felt relaxed. Like
Yes.
we were going, we drove to Verdun, we drove to Normandy, we drove the northern part of France.
That's beautiful.
And then ended in Paris. But you would think that we were like running a marathon the way that we traveled, but I was to just take a step back and not have to, do the daily grind of the business with the emails, and it relaxed me, and I came back much more productive than I ever would have without that vacation.
Being Memorial Day weekend, isn't it an amazing feeling inside when you stand at Normandy, huh? It just gives you a sense of, it's jaw dropping.
What those men
Oh, I don't-
went through on that beach,
I-
I am so taken aback.
Me too.
And I just think that I'm very thankful for the veterans and what they went through, but I think every American should go and see that
Yes.
beach because
Yeah.
it is just breathtaking.
It's breathtaking, it really is. I totally agree. I mean, it's something we can think about too, because what they're going to do in France.
Do it.
Bring the Normandy into it. Especially it just happens to be Memorial Day, so it's on my mind. But yeah, it's breathtaking, isn't it?
Definitely.
You just sit there and say, stand there, or sit there, whatever, and like, how did they do this?
Yes.
How did they do this? Talk about heroism there, it's right there.
It's there.
You
Yes.
feel it. You just feel it everywhere about that beach. Wow. So we have like 5 minutes left. Is there anything you want to bring up that we might have not asked? It's
It's a really hard question.
okay. We can keep asking questions.
Well,
Don't worry
I,
about it.
So you used to work in restaurants, right?
Yes.
I worked in restaurants. I think out of all jobs I've ever had, that job taught me the most.
She said that
On
all
how
life.
just to, when you're triple sat, you have this going on, but you just go through it, and you know it's gonna end. Like this is just a moment in time, but it teaches you prioritization, perspective, everything.
Right.
Honestly, just say I was a waitress, and I was like, oh, and I'm like, I learned so much from being a waitress.
Definitely.
You learned how to just like go into the kitchen and like scream and be like, where's my food? And then go back, go, hi, what can I get you? How are things? Like, I feel like that's,
You're putting on a show.
Yes.
That's the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
You
You
put
are.
on a show, and
Yeah.
I tell everyone who works with me, behind the curtain,
Yes.
you can't let the guests know what's going on behind the curtain.
Because they're
Front stage,
they're
backstage,
there just
right.
to
Right.
relax and get. The reason they're sitting there is because they need to be served and entertained.
Yes.
The reason they're sitting there paying is because like they don't want to be home doing the dishes. They just want to be
Correct.
served and smile a lot.
Yeah.
But one thing Amy told me is that when she was a server was to never blame the cooks for cold food. It's always the server.
Definitely.
I used to say that cook except me out
No,
this
it's
cold potatoes. Amy goes, it's not the cooks. It's the server.
It's the
They went in somewhere else to the whatever, the bathroom or whatever. So I always
Smoking.
think that. Yeah, I was
Yep.
gonna say that.
That was the biggest. That was.
She always
like,
said that.
I
I'm
know.
like,
They all did. But no, it's the food sad. But no, I honestly, I learned so much from that job. I love that job. It made you just realize always put a smile on,
Yes.
and you can get through anything.
Yep.
And people think you're doing well, and you're like, yes, I got this. Even if you know, like, they just ran out of A, B, and C, what someone ordered, you're just like, no big deal.
Right.
You know, so I think that's the fact that you worked in restaurants and then went to event planning makes a lot of sense
Definitely.
because you just smile through it and just make it work, and everyone enjoys their time,
Exactly.
which is wonderful.
Is there any lessons you would want to pass on to anyone watching the show? Like if they really truly wanted to go into this profession, maybe a couple of ideas that how they would get started?
Well, my advice to just anyone in general growing up is you are the only person that can limit what you do in this world. So sky's the limit, and even now with going to Mars might be that limit.
I know, right?
Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something. For me, when people told me no or you can't do that, it motivated me even more. It still does today. I'm a little vindictive.
Hey, but it works, right?
It does. It does. So, and as far as getting the business, like I said before, prioritize, make sure that you have some experience under your belt before you undertake anything like this. Even though that experience might be a bad one, it's still a learning experience, and you can still take away things from that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's very true. I always say, no matter what happens, learn something from it and use it in the future.
Yes.
Because sometimes the bad experiences teach you so much more than the good ones.
Right.
Right.
And if someone out there is watching or listening and they want to call you for an event, how should they get in touch with you?
They can call me at 401-589-1321. We also have a website, tmwproductions.biz. And, I do a free consultation. So really anything, if they're looking to do an event and they have an idea, we can make it work.
I got the feeling it's anything but weddings.
Anything but weddings, yes.
If you have one wedding, you're satisfied.
I'm good.
It's a great way to end the show. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for
Women's Business.
having me. Thank you.
Yeah.